Hey, thanks for joining me. My name is Megan Andrew, and today I'm sharing with you a layout that I created for Shimelle.com called Thinking Cup. Now, I'm always looking for ways to use my 4x6 embossing folders, especially on layouts, which can be a bit tricky. So for this layout, I've used the Shimelle, the first collection, embossing folder. It's a wood grain embossing folder, and what I'm doing is I've cut up a piece of 12 by 12 cardstock, craft cardstock, into 4x6 pieces so that each one of them can be placed inside the embossing folder. And I'm just running them through each one through once. So one sheet of 12 by 12 paper, running each 4x6 piece that I've cut from that through my embossing folder. And this is using a Cuttlebug. There's a few different machines that you can use. I have a Cuttlebug and it works great. Once you're finished embossing all of your 4x6 pieces, you're going to start punching shapes. So I've chosen a circle for this layout. I'm using a 2-inch circle and a 1 3/8 inch circle. Unfortunately, my 2-inch punch went kaput right when I was trying to film this video, so I had to break out my circle cutters. So this is a 2-inch circle here. You could use any shape on this layout. I just chose the circle because I already had a large circle in one of my photos. It's a big cup of coffee, so I thought it apt to use a circle for my background. I also really like the wood grain texture because it really kind of goes with the feel of my photos, and my photos are from a coffee house, so that wood grain feel just really is great for the subject of this layout. So once you have all of your circles or your shapes cut, I started inking the edges, and I'm just going to start adhering them kind of randomly on my layout, both with a regular adhesive, a mono adhesive, and with a few with a dimensional adhesive just to pop them up and give them kind of a different look. Be sure when you're adhering with a adhesive that you don't press down too hard on your embossed pieces because it can flatten the embossing texture. So you just want to keep that in mind when you're adhering. So here I'm placing my last circle on my layout. I've kept the wood grain vertical on all of my circles just so it looks congruent throughout the background of the layout. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're using a pattern that has, a vertical pattern. You want to keep it either vertical or horizontal. So everything looks to be stuck down here. I'm going to put my ink away and start trimming the edges of the circles off of my layout. Here's a look at my completed background with the photos I've chosen for this layout. And you can see here that I have left a blank space where my photos are going, so I didn't have to punch more circles. So I'm going to show you the supplies I've chosen for this layout. This is the cinnamon roll paper from the True Stories collection. This is cappuccino, this cute polka dot. And this is orange pico, the yellow, all from True Stories. This is the Earl Grey vellum. I love the clouds. I think it's so cute, and I really want to use them on this layout. I have this little gold strip from the photo overlays, and that's from the first Shimelle collection. I also have both of these hipster thickers from True Stories. One is black, one is multicolored. And my favorite item in the collection is the die cut cardstock shapes. I find them so useful. These are tags with vellum, the True Stories wood buttons. This is the acrylic stamp set from the first Shimelle collection, and these are enamel dots from True Stories. So I'm just going to start and decide how I want to order my pattern papers, because I know I definitely want to use these 3 pattern papers, but I have to figure out which order I want them to go. So I'm just going to try to place my photos here, and I find that the polka dot background is just too much against my photos, so I'm definitely not going to go with that. And next I'm going to try my photos on the yellow, but I want a bit more contrast against the white border that I've placed on my photos than what that is giving me. So I'm going to go with them against the teal, the cinnamon roll paper. So I'm going to go teal, and then the polka dot cappuccino, and then the yellow orange picot at the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere my photos down, but I know that I want to separate my photos with something, a tag. So I've pulled out a few tags already from the die cut cardstock shapes and the tags with vellum. So this is one of the tags from the tags with vellum I'm going to place in the center there. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere my photos down. And like I said, I've backed them with white cardstock just to make them stand out a bit more. And I always place my photos on my layout with dimensional adhesive to make them really stand out. So once that's trimmed, I'm just going to place it on the cappuccino polka dot paper, and I'm going to adhere it slightly askew because I think it gives it a bit more of a playful feel when everything's not so straight on my layout. And I'm going to make this layer a bit wider because I want to be able to see all of the pretty colors in that polka dot. And then the final layer is the yellow orange picot paper, and I'm going to keep that one quite thin. So I'm just going to trim that off. And there you have the pattern paper photo mat. And I really like the way it stands out against the background, the nice colorful patterns. I have this manufacturer's strip from the cinnamon roll paper, and I really like bringing those colors to the bottom of the layout. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that on. This is the tag I've chosen to use in between my photos to separate those. So now it's time for embellishing. I'm going to go ahead and adhere my photo mat down because I know I'm definitely finished with that. And I'm just going to grab my clear ruler just to make sure that I've got that straight on the layout. Here are the tags from the tags with vellum, as well as one of the die cut cardstock shapes, and I have a die cut cardstock shape at the top that looks like a paper, like one of those big clips. So I'm going to attach all of these together and adhere that at the top so that they look like they're all sort of clipped together haphazardly. And I'm just going to adhere that to the space in between my photos with dimensional adhesive. And I'm also going to put a bit extra on the die cut clip at the top just to make sure that stays on. So that area there is completed. I love these vellum clouds, so I'm just going to cut some of them out with my super fast ninja cloud cutting skills. And I'm also going to add some of the die cut cardstock shape clouds along with them. This die cut piece, the yellow one, says Pretty Monumental, and I like adding some more yellow to my layout. So I have more of the vellum clouds, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere those on with mono adhesive. Usually I find just one strip of mono adhesive hides vellum just fine. So I have 3 different cloud groupings, so that kind of creates a visual triangle around my photos. I'm going to go ahead and adhere the transparent gold piece on top of the Pretty Monumental die cut piece. And I'm going to put my coffee cup at the bottom right hand of my layout because I've decided that it's going to be part of my title. The place that we went to for this breakfast in Boston was called Thinking Cup. And so instead of writing out thinking and cup, I'm just going to write out thinking and put a cup there. So just going to pop that on there with dimensional adhesive, make sure my letters are straight. And I'm going to adhere this circular pink with the arrow piece on with a mini stapler. And now I'm going to go to my smaller pieces, the wood buttons, the wood enamel buttons, and the enamel dots, because I need some smaller pieces on this layout. And I'm feeling like it needs something else added into the background, and I always add stamps to my layout. So I'm just going to add some of the arrow stamps from the first Shimelle collection stamp set. I'm going to do them in both a light brown and a dark brown, just to kind of draw more attention to my photo there, and later on I'm going to add some more to draw some attention to the title area. So here's a look at my completed layout. I added some journaling onto a banner cut from the biscotti paper from True Stories on that teal banner. I also added some more arrows and the date down at the bottom next to my title. So you can see on these detail shots just how great the texture is on the background on those circles. Not only there's there a tone on tone with the circles, but there's texture added with the wood grain embossing folder. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you like my video, please subscribe to my YouTube feed, and also find me at my blog, www.meganandrew.com. Thanks so much.